USC researchers did a study of the top 100 grossing films in Hollywood from 2013, and they wanted to see what type of different racial disparities exist. And there were some really fascinating results that I want to read to you guys. Now, the most underrepresented ethnicity in the poll, or the survey, included Hispanics. So let me tell you why. Hispanics, who make up 17% of the nation's population, had just 4.9% of the film roles.
We have an amazing fact of the day in this story. That is not it. I'm not overly surprised at how underrepresented they are. But it doesn't mean it doesn't suck. It does, right? Yeah. So there are some good news in this survey, too, that I was also stunned by. I'm not stunned by this number, right? We hope they get better, right?
Yes, yes.
And by the way, for example, if you have African-American directors, they cast a lot more African-Americans. They're more inclusive,
yes,
right? So one of the keys is directors. So if we had more Latino directors, we probably have more Latino actors as well.
Yeah, by the way, in terms of black directors, only 6% of directors in Hollywood are black. So that's obviously not representative of our, sample, but whatever. All right, so let's get to the amazing fact of the day. So almost 38% of Latina actresses appeared partially or fully naked on screen. Compare that with 32% of white females, 24% of black females, and 18% of Asian actresses. Now, this is, of course, because of the stereotype that Latinas are fiery and they're sex symbols. And so when they're portrayed in movies, it's usually as the sex symbol, the Sofia Vergara's and all of that.
So when I look at that number, the disparity between white and Latino is not overwhelming, but I'm amazed that 38% of all Latina actresses get naked on screen.
Yeah.
That's a huge number. Almost 4 out of 10 times when you see a Latina actress, you're like, okay, good, she's going to get naked. Okay, or if that's the way you're inclined. Okay?
Right.
But isn't that amazing that they choose them for the roles? They go, okay, now we're not choosing very many of you. Remember how underrepresented they are overall. But when we do choose you, you're going to have to get naked. So, boy, that tells you a sense of what at least Hollywood producers are looking for. And I love the irony that oftentimes Hollywood is described as liberal.
Yeah.
So they're very liberal Hollywood,
yeah,
right?
there are certain parts or characteristics of Hollywood that are not so liberal. So, for instance, a lot of actors and actresses still feel uncomfortable coming out because they feel like they'll be discriminated against when it comes to certain roles. And there is like that sense that, hey, if someone is a gay actor, he can't play a straight role. I don't know why that mentality exists, but unfortunately it does. All right, so let's talk about Latino men. So 17% of Hispanic males were shown in tight, alluring, or revealing clothing, the most of any other group. So some 14% of Asian males, 13% of black actors, and 8% of white actors were shown in similar attire.
I like that Asian men were getting some love there in terms of the tight clothes.
Right?
All right. I wouldn't have expected that. God bless. I didn't know that was a stereotype.
But here's another interesting double standard. So there have been some movies where you will see full frontal male nudity, right? Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of them.
That was scarring, yeah. I remember it.
I mean, it wasn't alluring, okay? But it's interesting that double standard exists, right? Because there's this notion that a nude female body is super sexy and super acceptable, but a nude male body is like disgusting and repulsive.
Overall,
I mean, of course the guys are going to be like, yeah, it's disgusting. But if you got the right actor, it might not be so bad.
So there's some irony in your statement there, and I share it with you because I think I said something similar to that. You like Latino men, so the fact that they're in alluring clothes you view as a positive thing, right?
Look,
it's unfair to Latinos and Latinas to be cast. And if you notice, I said something like 4 out of 10 chance you're going to see them naked, which is kind of cool, right? But that's totally wrong, of course.
Yeah.
You shouldn't they shouldn't be particularly put out there as sex objects.
But I feel like everyone gets cast in stereotypical roles in Hollywood. It's not just Latinos. It's also black people. It's also white people. It's also Asians. If you come...
It's Hollywood, yeah.
It's Hollywood,
you know why? Because it sells. Of course, sex sells. So it's a lot more naked people than you'd see probably in real life either.
Right.
Right? But having said that, the numbers bear out that it's disproportionately Latinas and Latinos in this case. And remember, look, it's a small sample size. They just took the top 100 grossing films in 2013 from 1 year. So a couple of movies could have really skewed this.
Yes, absolutely. So let's look at some more statistics that they found through their study. Black characters represented about 14% of those in films, which is comparable to America's 13% black population.
So that's good news.
That is good news.
It's slightly overrepresented. Now, of course, what they also found was that they were really bunched up in generally black movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like the Tyler Perry movies and all of that.
So when you count that into the pool, there was like half the movies had, either no black characters or no one black spoke. Okay, it's kind of a funny thing to say, but there were, background actors, etc.
So let's finally look at Asians. Asians filled 4.4% of roles in 2013, but account for 5.3% of the U.S. population. Not too much of a disparity there.
And a little better than I would have expected. I would have expected less Asians, given the history of movies. But to me, the most interesting stat, other than the naked Latinas, was black males were more likely than those from any other group to be shown in a committed relationship. Isn't that interesting? It was at 68% of black males were shown in committed relationships, okay? So that's good news. Asian males were the least likely to be shown in a committed relationship at 29%.
Isn't that so fascinating?
Again, it might have been skewed by the movies in that particular year, right? And so it might have been, a movie that did really well, was in the top 100, that had all these black guys who were married and happened to have, I don't know if Harold and Kumar Part 8 came out that year. Okay, Asians that were not committed or should be committed in some institution. Okay, but nonetheless, interesting numbers and certainly interesting ones to track going forward too.